All right, fellas. Ryan and Jacob show coming at you on an unexpected early season outlook episode. Thought we would throw one of these in here to keep things fresh, exciting. In this episode, we think we're just gonna ask each other a few questions and just see where the early season's taking us. So with that, I'll pass it off to you.
Yeah, so I think Chewy gave us the idea to kind of like do a questions, like if you guys would ask us questions, something like that. So I kind of took that and kind of ran with it, with just asking me and Ryan, or just Ryan, a couple questions that I'll answer as well, just to kind of keep like predictions up and just to kind of make it a little bit more fun for us as well, just not talking about each game. So with that being said, we can go to the first question that I wrote. And if you guys have any other questions you guys just want to give us, kind of just like blanket questions we can maybe throw in there. You can maybe comment it or just let me and Ryan know. But the first question I came up with was one of the surprise teams with a losing record that you'll think would make the playoffs. So looking at the standings, we have Johnny at 2-3 after this week. There's a game going on right now, but we have Johnny at 2-3, Matt at 2-3, Joey at 2-3, Rudy at 0-5, James at 2-3, Mubasi at 2-3, and Chewy at 2-3. So a lot of 2-3 teams. So Ryan, who do you think will make the playoffs out of those bunches?
Well, out of those people, if I had to pick, I had thought about this kind of throughout the day when you asked me earlier. I kind of went back and forth with a few guys, Matt, Chewy, and Johnny to be specific, but I think I landed on Johnny Peppers. He came out this week and dropped a hell of a score, and I think his team has kind of always had this potential, but they just have not been performing. And goddamn Derrick Henry, dude. But I think I'm gonna pick Johnny out of that bunch. I just think he's got the best chance. What are you thinking?
I mean, Johnny's a good pick, but I kind of went back and forth, two people as well, Joey and James. I think I'm going with Joey, though. Joey was 0-3 to start the year. And, I mean, just looking at his team, you got Matt Ryan, who is good. He's got weapons to throw to. It's just, and their defense is awful, so he's always going to be throwing the ball. And Nick Chubb is just kind of going off right now. I think I like Joey's team. I think he has some shock value in his team that a couple people can go on. I still don't think we've seen enough of Le'Veon Bell, but the Jets are pretty bad.
I'm just not sure if we're gonna see Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah, I think we will. I mean, Gallman, Saquon's I think close to coming back, so you replace him with a Josh Gordon or Larry Fitzgerald. I mean, not bad flex options. I don't know. I like his team. There's something about his team that I like. Robert Woods. I don't know if you guys watched the Rams game, but Brandon Cooks went down with a pretty bizarre concussion, head injury. Without him, I think Robert Woods has a lot to. Him and Cooper Kupp will start going off a little bit more.
I don't know, man. I think Johnny's team's just got a lot of potential over here. He put up this 126 with Ty not doing that well, so. I mean, Dak Prescott's been looking great. Gurley's probably going to get better. Like I said, fucking Derrick Henry. I'm not going to talk about him, but... And then A-Rob down there, and Drew Brees will be coming back at some point soon. He looks like he snagged DJ Shark down there. Got him on the bench.
He was mad that I played Johnny, and you guys all know the score on that game. Unfortunately, he's going to take the L, but... He almost played. I think he told me he almost played Chark instead of Hilton. If Hilton wasn't going to play, he would have played Chark. So, unfortunately for me, Hilton played.
That would have been a big swing. But yeah, I think as the rest of the season goes on, I think Johnny might have the best shot out of those losing records to sneak into those playoffs.
Yeah, Ryan said a couple other teams. I think he said Chewy and who's your third one? Matt.
Chewy and Matt.
And then I had James, who I was kind of going back and forth with. I mean, James has a lot of star power on his team, but I don't know, just something about Joey's team I like, and I think he's got Rudy next week, so I think he can go 3-3 very easily, and we'll see how that goes. But going on with the next question. The next question is which winning team or the winning record do you think will drop and not make the playoffs? So looking at the standings again, I'm 5-0. Dom's going to be 3-2. Chris is going to be 3-2. Jimmy's going to be 4-1. I think is Jimmy. Yeah, Jimmy's winning this week, so he's going to be 4-1. And Old Town Toads is going to be 3-2. So out of those teams, Ryan, who do you think is going to have the steepest drop off?
Well, I'm definitely not going to pick those Old Town Toads. Those guys are pretty immaculate. I think it's honestly this was maybe one of the easiest questions you asked me. I hate to say it, but Jimothy Wiegand, I think your team is due to fall. I hate to say it, but he had a really good score this week. I'll give him that. But
good starts too.
Yeah, not counting this week, he has just been winning with some very low scores. I think he's got the least points against. I have a bad feeling that his schedule is just going to get a lot tougher. And there's been a lot of guys in this league putting up some pretty high scores. So I think he's in for a rude awakening unless his team starts stepping it up and putting up more points, because he's not gonna be able to keep winning with 85s and less.
So you have to piggyback off that. Jimmy actually has the lowest points for, and this is not counting this week. I think he did score like 100, 110 this week, so this could change. But he has the lowest points scored with 319 and the lowest points against at 297. So You are correct on that. And the next closest person with points against lower, so he's got 297. The next lowest is Johnny Peppers at 344. So that's a 50-point swing right there.
Yeah. So I just don't see that continuing to fall in his favor. I think this, like I said, the schedule's going to get a lot tougher. He's going to see some bigger names out here. And hopefully he can prove me wrong. But as of right now, that's who I see having the biggest drop-off. So we'll just have to see how that goes.
And just to piggyback off what I said with Joey's team with the losing record, he actually has the most points against at 490. So he's seeing a lot of steep competition with 490 points against. The next closest for that looks like 435 with James, which was my other pick on points against. But who I think will have, going back to the original question for the second question, I think it's going to be actually Chris. I do agree with Jimmy, but I just kind of want to talk about another guy's team. I think Chris, I mean, we talked about this in prior podcasts. I mean, his team is just kind of injury riddled right now. It does look like Saquon's going to come back earlier than expected, but then you got to ask yourself, how much is he actually going to play that first week back or those first 2 weeks back, just to get back in that game speed? So that's always a question.
That tight end spot's pretty weak.
Yeah, I mean, he's played Delaney, I think, the last 2 weeks in a row, and he's combined for maybe 2 points. Not even 2 points.
Yeah.
So maybe a tight end change. But I'm not a big Cincinnati fan, anybody. So he's got Tyler Boyd, though he did go off this week. But I mean, they play the Cardinals D, so I mean, you're gonna be all right against that. But anybody like Tyler Boyd, I'm not really high on.
Got 3 quarterbacks.
Quarterback situation's not the best, and then Antonio Brown's just a waste of a second-round pick. I mean, it's just unfortunate for Chris. I think if he has a healthy team, I think he's middle of the pack, towards the upper of the pack. But right now, Brown and Barkley out, and then Tribby's out, but he wasn't doing much anyway. Brissett had a good first week, but then kind of dudded with 11 points against the Chiefs.
Yep, and then he's got Peyton Barber, Bucks running back, who I mentioned at the beginning of the season is like the last team I'd want to draft a running back from. Not that he necessarily
Yes.
always has to play him because he does have some guys he can fill in instead. But yeah, I see where you're coming from on this, but my pick definitely remains with Mr. Jimbo Slice.
Yeah, and Jimmy, I mean, Jimmy's had a rough couple weeks, but he's 4-0, so I mean, that's great. But Aaron
4-1.
Rodgers, Devontae
4-1.
Adams didn't have, or 4-1, yeah. 4-1, Devontae Adams, Aaron Rodgers, I still think that's a pretty good connection there, just when
Oh
he's
yeah,
healthy.
I mean, don't get me wrong, the guy's got a good team. I mean, I think everyone pretty much has a good team, but it's just about how people are performing this season.
Like Michelle,
and-
Sony Michelle's not doing much.
Yeah, if the trends keep going where they're going, Jimmy has not been putting up a lot of points, and we looked at those points against. He's been getting some pretty close wins
Right.
with some low ass scores. So,
Do you
but
think, like,
I see the Chris pick too.
Yeah, and I was just looking at Kelsey. I think he was like a third-round pick maybe, and he's only got one double-digit game. So if he's not performing that Jimmy was that Jimmy was hoping for. 20th pick, yes, a second-round pick actually. So
Yeah, that tight
I don't
end
know.
spot has been rough this year. I mean, I have the number 1 tight end right now, and I got him off of waivers, so it has not been
Yes.
easy going for the tight end position.
it is not. And I got my tight end, who's probably top 5, maybe I would guess. And I got him like the 130th pick. So a lot of sneaky tight ends for this year. Not a lot of big name tight ends aren't doing much. But those are the two teams that we think are going to fall off, and the two teams that we think are going to rise out of the below 500. But then the next two questions are kind of fun questions. We have a 0-5 team in Rudy. Another heartbreaking loss to Chewy. Well, not really heartbreaking. He just got destroyed, 76-111. But my question to Ryan was, who do you think will Rudy's first win be against? So next week he has Joey, then he has Chris, Matt, Dom, Lubasi, Ryan, back to Joey, and then Chris. Do you think he gets a win?
I definitely think he gets a win, and this was probably the hardest question that I had to answer. Because, I mean, Rudy's team has been nothing short of poopy butt. I mean, he's got Pat Mahomes, who was drafted as probably supposed to be the number 1 quarterback. He has not been that. He's been great, but he has not been number 1, and the rest of his team behind that has been very shaky. Mike Evans has not been having a great season because my boy, the man, the myth, the legend, Chris Godwin has been absolutely tearing it up, and just he doesn't have a lot of depth. He's still got 3 defenses, won't give me one. But yeah, I think he's gonna get a win, and if I had to put my finger on it, I think his best chance is probably going to be, it's kind of a toss-up, because I think he may get Chris, but I didn't want to pick that one because I looked at the bye weeks. He's got Mike Evans out for that week. So if he doesn't beat Chris, I think he's got a shot versus Matt, who, I mean, we just kind of talked about earlier as my low record that might have a chance. He was in the conversation, but he's put up some duds. I think he's got a chance, but I think I'm going to put my final decision on Lubasi. I think he beats Lubasi first.
Bossy week 10.
That's Rudy's first win.
Bossy. Yeah, I'm looking at Rudy's schedule. He lost the first week. He lost by 0.6 to Jimmy. It was 69.3 to 68.7.
Yeah.
And then he loses to me by about 50. Loses to James by 12. It was 132 to 118. So he did have triple digits there. Just James outscored him. Lost to Johnny 83 to 59. And then losing to Chewy this week, 111 to 76. So he said, that Jimmy got really lucky that week. But
He
I think
rarely
if I
puts
had
up over 80 points.
Yeah, only one triple digits, 180, and the rest below 80. if I had to pick, now don't get me wrong, I like this guy's team, Dom's, but I think Dom loses to Rudy in week 9.
You think
I'm gonna go with
Rudy
that.
beats Dom?
Yes, because if you look at Dom's week 9, he's got Freeman on a bye, Kamara on a bye, and Cooper Kupp on a bye. And then Rudy only has Joe Mixon on a bye, who hasn't really been doing great anyway. But I think Dom's worst bye week is week 9. I don't see Rudy beating Joey, as I've mentioned prior. I like Joey's team.
I think
Chris,
he's got a shot versus Chris. I think that's going to be a close game.
He does have a shot versus Chris, but if I'm going to try to go a little crazy with it, I think he loses to a 3-2 Dom's team. I mean, Dom will probably be 500 when playing Rudy, or at least above 500. And I think Rudy gets Dom, because just solely based on bye weeks, Dom has probably his worst bye week against Rudy, which is a good thing to have your worst bye week against somebody who's probably worst in the league. But I think Rudy pulls it off.
I don't know, man.
I think he does. I think he does. Well, you're saying Lubasi week 10. That's a long way away. I mean, that's a long way away.
I know, but I'm just looking at the competition here, and like I said, I think he's got a shot versus Chris. Only only Mike Evans out on the bye. Matt's team, I think Matt's team will be heating up by then. It'll be interesting to see how that Steelers quarterback situation plays out for Juju, though. But Dom's team's, I mean, I played Dom. Dom's team's pretty good. I get what you're saying, the bye weeks, but I think he's got enough depth to cover that, at least versus Rudy. Like, let's base this off of average trends. He just needs to put up maybe like 90 points.
That's gonna be that's my pick.
Mr. Lubasi he's been so inconsistent. I mean, one week he'll put up big numbers, and the next week he'll put up some trash. So I think that's Rudy's first win. That's my call, and it's gonna be hype to watch those predictions play out.
All right, so I got Dom week 9, Rise got Lubasi week 10 for Rudy's first win. Going on that little trend that we're setting, I am actually 5-0. If you guys have not noticed, best in the league so far, most points in the league. My team is dominant. So then I asked Ryan, when will I lose my first game? I'll start by saying when I think I'll lose my first game. I said this right at the beginning of the year to Ryan and Lubasi. I'm going undefeated. So that's my prediction. I have Lubasi next week, Ryan, Joey, Chris, Matt, Dom, Lubasi again, and then Ryan again to finish up the year. When do you think I'll lose my first game, Ryan?
Well, I can tell you right now that you will lose because you played me twice. Now, the first time I play you is my worst bye week. Christian McCaffrey's out, which is pretty much a 30-point loss for points for me, which is going to hurt a lot. So you're probably going to get me the first time we play. I'm definitely going to beat you the second time we play. But let me pull up your schedule here, because I think you're going to lose before, because our second game is the last game of the season.
Yeah, so no buys.
Right. So, I mean, next week you got Lubasi. You're definitely not going to lose yet there. And then you play me week 7, which is what I was talking about, my worst bye week. Hopefully I can give you a game, but that's probably going to be a loss for me. I'm pretty much counting as that being my last loss of the season. And after that, it looks like you have Joey Martin, which I think he will give you a tough game.
He's got Cooper on a bye, and I got Lamar Jackson on a bye.
I think that's probably going to be your toughest matchup to date, closest. And I think Joey might get you there. But if Joey doesn't get you there, I think James is going to get you week 9.
That's Chris. I play Chris.
Oh, I was looking at the wrong one. All right, never mind. Not week 9. Won't be week 9. Yeah, I'm gonna put my vote in as your first loss. It's gonna be versus Joey. Your first game without Lamar Jackson. Wow. And I think it's gonna be week 8. again, I would say week 7, but I have a terrible bye week.
Yeah, so me and Matt were kind of going back and forth talking shit Saturday night, I think it was. And I was just looking at when I play Matt because that's what we were kind of talking about. And I have Ryan on his worst bye week. We've already talked. We have Chris McCaffrey out, Chris Godwin out. And then I looked at week 10 against Matt. Matt has Leonard Fournette out, Phillip Lindsay, DeAndre Hopkins, Jaguars D, Cortland Sutton. He just has a slew of bye weeks too, so I'm getting lucky. I don't know if I'd say oh yeah, it's pretty lucky that I'm getting Matt on his worst bye week. And then Dom, I played Dom with Chris Carson out, and then I played Chris. I don't know if Barkley's gonna be better. Oh no, I don't have Barkley on a bye. Chris has me and him have pretty even matchup there. And then I played Lubasi week 12, and I had Tyreek Hill's on a bye, so I'm getting kind of lucky on these bye weeks. But I don't think I don't think I'm gonna lose.
Yeah, I think you're gonna take an L here. I don't think your team can sustain these numbers. I mean, I've been putting up some pretty ridiculous numbers as well. Not quite as ridiculous as you. I'm trailing a little bit behind you on those points for, but we're definitely dominating the league, and I really wish I didn't have these terrible bye weeks, week 7, because I would be giving you a much better game.
Yeah,
but I don't think your team can sustain what the pace it's on. Lamar Jackson, I mean, come down to earth a little bit this week. So
the last 2 weeks.
It'll be interesting to see, but I would be willing to put some sort of bet on you losing a game this season.
Yeah, so I just Chewy, because if he would have played anybody on his bench other than his starters week 1, I would be 4-1 right now. So he's the reason why I am 5-1. So thank you, Chewy, on that one. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see when Rudy will win his first game and when I'll lose my first game. My team and my schedule kind of says that I won't lose. Maybe, like you said, week 13. I think you and I have the best team. I'm kind of glad I got you on your worst bye, but it would have been a good dogfight if it was just no buys week 7. But I kind of got lucky on that one. But it should be exciting to see just those 4 questions, kind of see how we do in the coming weeks to see if Joey actually gets out or if Matty B gets out and see what kind of our picks. So I got Joey on that, and then Ryan picked Johnny. It'd be fun to see if they kind of the next couple of weeks see how they do. But the last question that we have that we just kind of wanted to kind of go just football related. I asked Ryan who his Super Bowl prediction was, who you got in the Super Bowl for the actual NFL early season prediction.
So this was a tough one. I mean, obviously my NFC pick, everyone probably knows. I definitely think the Chi-Town Bears are going to be repping the NFC in the Super Bowl, but the AFC was
even
tough.
After that loss.
Yeah. So here's the deal with that loss. Obviously, we looked terrible. I'll give you that. We looked terrible yesterday. The defense was not on. The offense was not on. But if Mitch Trubisky is driving us down for that last game-winning drive just to get a field goal, which is all we needed, I think he does it. He's done that almost like a handful of times in the past. Drove us downfield, game on the line to get a game-tying field goal or game-winning. Last year, Cody Parkey fucked it up for us in the playoffs. And in this game, Chase Daniel just throws that pick on the last drive. With Mitch Trubisky in there, I think it goes a lot differently. We don't have the loss. We're 4-1. And yeah, that was an easy NFC pick for me. I think this loss is going to fire us up. And I mean, this is definitely a biased opinion, but I don't see us losing another game. So, now to my AFC pick. This is one was much more tricky. So, if you had asked me this, if we had talked about this yesterday, I may have said the Chiefs. And the Chiefs very well still could do this. But I think it comes down to either the Chiefs or the Pats. And with that, that team that I saw yesterday, I know they have a lot of injuries, but so does that Colts team. With that performance I saw yesterday, I think the Pats would walk all over the Chiefs if they play even close to like they did last night. So my final pick, as of right now, Patriots versus Bears. Bears by 13.
13, okay. Well, I do have to agree with you on the AFC. I think I don't. It's going to be Chiefs versus Patriots. There's no way any team from the AFC North gets into that AFC Championship game, in my opinion.
Right. Well, depending on how the bracket plays out.
Yeah, I think there'll be top 2 seeds. There's no way, I think. Let me get my my controller back in here. Sorry, guys. All right, we're back. Sorry about that. But yeah, the Patriots for sure. And I'm thinking the Packers, NFC, getting out of the NFC Championship game. They've looked very well. They've looked so good this season. Aaron Rodgers has been throwing the ball. I mean, if you guys watched Aaron Jones, he's running the ball over the place. They should have beat the Eagles if they would have ran the ball with Aaron Jones on the 1 or 2 yard line, whatever they were. I think the Packers have a great shot at going to the Super Bowl against the Patriots. And I think I'd pick the Packers to beat the Patriots by a touchdown.
So you think the Packers are winning the Super Bowl?
I think the Packers have a great shot at winning the Super Bowl. I'd hate to say I think the Patriots will win because they win every year, it seems like, or at least they go to the game every year, so I would really not want them to win. But I think the Packers have the defense this year. They've looked great on the defensive side. Kind of late in the Cowboys game, they didn't really look great. Dak was kind of going off on them. But they kind of held Zeke in check. I don't know, something about that Packers team. Maybe that's just that I have Aaron Jones, so I'm kind of looking at them a little bit more this year than past years. I wouldn't say I'm a Packers fan. I still like the Bears, but that Packers team just looks good this year.
Yeah. Well, Jimmy, if he's listening to this, is probably jizzing his pants right now. But the Packers aren't even going to win the NFC North, so they're going to have to take the wild card spot and climb from there. So that'll
What's
be
the Bears, 2-3 right now?
3-2, my friend. We don't do losing records. But like I said earlier, I just don't think that the Bears lose again this season. I mean, we play a Chiefs team later down the road, but I think they're beatable. I mean, we saw last night a good defense.
Yeah, they just...
If they shut that offense down, they don't know what to do. And their defense is terrible. So terrible that the Bears' offense should be able to score at will. So I just don't see who's taking us down. Like I said, after this Raiders loss, we're going to be so fired up. We're definitely a little humbled after that. And I think we thought we were unstoppable, and we got in our heads, and I don't think it'll happen again.
Yeah, I just want to elaborate. Since we did Patriots Chiefs, I think it's going to be Packers Saints in the NFC Championship game. I think the Saints have a chip on their shoulder. I just don't think they get there this year. I think the Bears lose to the Saints in the playoffs.
That's crazy.
I think the Saints have a good team, great offense. Packers have a great team, great offense.
But
Drew Brees will be back.
You're counting out the thing that wins championships, and that's defense. And who's got the best defense in the league? Some may say the Patriots, but they have a shit schedule. They are playing high school teams out there, and they haven't played a defense like the Bears yet, and they haven't seen an offense really that great yet. So I think the Patriots are definitely beatable, and their defense is not as better than the Bears. So defense wins champs, and we got the defense. We just need Mitch Trubisky to come back and do better.
All right, so you heard it here, folks. We got Patriots versus the Bears winning it, and then you got the Packers versus the Patriots, Packers winning it. Let's see how those predictions pull off towards the end of the season. And we'll see if our predictions change towards the end of the season because, football is a revolving sport. A lot can change in that time period. Like I said earlier in the podcast, we want to do more of this. Just we don't want to get in the routine of just doing the same thing week by week, kind of make it a little bit more exciting for you guys to listen. But I think that does it for this podcast. Please comment, subscribe, like the video. If you guys have any questions that you guys want us to answer, go for it, and we'll try to make another podcast like this in the coming weeks.
All right. Thanks for listening, whoever is. And if you're not, well, then you're not going to hear me say this. So that's it.
Peace.